1 year ago, God asked me to start something I didn't feel ready for. Well, he asked me more than a year ago, but I said yes 1 year ago. I was nervous. I was uncomfortable, but I said yes. And this is what obedience looks like 1 year later. I wanted to take a few minutes today to quietly celebrate what God has done over this past year and to give some reflection and a bit of a testimonial of his faithfulness. I hope you'll be blessed and encouraged by what you hear today. And if you've been hesitant to give God your yes, I pray today will be the last day you hesitate. Welcome to the Kingdom Classroom's 1 year anniversary edition. Let me start with this. This is not easy for me. I don't like being up front, and I don't like being on camera. When God first told me to start the Kingdom Classroom, I honestly wrestled with him about it. I said, Lord, I'm not a good speaker. I'm not polished. I don't feel qualified. I don't even know if anyone will watch. And I had a whole list of excuses. But God was unmoved and unfazed by my excuses. He let me know, you don't need an audience to obey. You just need to say yes. So here I am, 1 year later, still uncomfortable, but still walking in obedience. And before I go any further, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to those who have watched, whether it was one lesson or all of them. Thank you to those who have shared kind words, encouragement, or prayers along the way. And yes, even to those who have criticized me or questioned what I'm doing. Because every voice, every comment, every challenge has pushed me to seek God more deeply, to listen more closely, and to obey him more fully. You've all been part of how God has grown me this past year. Today, for our anniversary edition, I want to talk about the discomfort of obedience. Because if you've ever stepped out in faith, you know obedience doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it means doing the thing that makes your stomach turn or it makes your voice shake. It means trusting God when the outcome is uncertain, when the crowd is small, or when the next step doesn't make sense. I think about Peter in Luke chapter 5. Jesus told him, put out into the deep water and let down your net for a catch. Peter had been fishing all night. He was tired, frustrated, and ready to quit. But he said, nevertheless, at your word, I will let down the nets. And that moment of obedience, even in discomfort, even in doubt, led to overflow. Obedience doesn't always feel comfortable. In fact, it's almost never comfortable, but it always bears fruit. And sometimes the fruit is invisible for a while. When a seed is planted, growth begins beneath the soil before you ever see the fruit breaking through. But eventually, you see growth in your faith. You find your trust deepening. You see growth in the quiet confidence that comes from knowing I did what God asked me to do. Over this past year, I've learned that God doesn't call us to comfort. He calls us to surrender. He doesn't ask, are you ready? He asks, will you trust me? Because comfort doesn't produce calling. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll miss what he's trying to do through you right now. So if you're watching this and God has been nudging your heart, maybe to start something, write your book, to serve, to forgive, to speak up, don't wait for it to feel easy. just obey. Even if your hands shake, even if your voice trembles, even if you have to do it afraid. Because it's better to be uncomfortable in obedience than to be comfortable in disobedience. And the beauty of walking with God is that He meets us in the discomfort with peace, with purpose, and with His presence. So yes, 1 year later, I'm still here. I'm still uncomfortable. And I'm still amazed at how faithful He's been, how He has grown me, and how He has used this space to reach hearts for His glory. Thank you for your support, your prayers, your views, your likes, your shares, and your criticism. I pray you have in some way been blessed through what the Lord is doing in the Kingdom Classroom. And I pray that you are encouraged to grow in your faith and to walk in obedience to our risen Savior and King. Until next time, stay rooted in faith, walk in truth, and live for God's glory. Happy anniversary to the Kingdom Classroom.